Hey everybody, my name is Emily Gear, multidimensional channel and transformative energy healer. I am here to do your reading for the June 4th new moon in Gemini, just to see what might be coming in. I have not watched any of the other videos on that yet on YouTube, but I see that they're starting to come up. So we're going to check that out. But before I do, just a couple things. First, thank you so much for all of your comments and likes and subscribes. I really, really do appreciate that. Every one of you helps me to build my following and the community, and it just really helps me to continue to put in the time to do these readings for you and for the collective. So thank you. Also, thank you for all the donations that I've received recently. That has also helped me because this is a considerable time draw to spend the time making these videos and posting them online, in addition to the other things that I do on my other social media, which is you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, and actually Twitter as well, although I'm less active on Twitter. So I thank you all for that. If you would like to set up a private one-on-one session with me, you can do that through my website, which is IamEmilyGear.com. And I am still in New York City through the middle of June, so a couple more weeks. Most of my weekends are booked at this point. However, there is still some space left, and there is some weekday space. So if you would like an in-person appointment with me, New York City and the Northeast, this is your opportunity, because I'm unlikely to be back here until sometime in the fall. Okay? So all that having been said, I feel like there has been a lot of turbulent energy going on in the collective recently, probably in the last couple of weeks. I mean, for a lot of people, truth be told, probably since the full moon in Scorpio. But in there, you know, for me anyway, there was a lot of very peaceful energy, but I'm definitely seeing a whole lot of triggered individuals, and this is not a bad thing. This is actually a positive thing, because they serve to point you to what inside yourself needs to be released, be healed, be addressed, or at least, at the very least, be acknowledged and accepted. Just for your awareness to be brought to it, okay? And in some cases, that's absolutely enough to provide the light that heals that part of your own darkness, which is one of the words that I use to describe your subconscious and the programming that runs in the subconscious. So that is what I feel has been getting exposed in the last couple weeks. And so if you've been experiencing that, just know that it's normal, and that the way to deal with it, as I said, is to really acknowledge it, be in acceptance of it, and have the intention to let it go. Okay? I can't say when that's going to stop. You know, obviously we are always learning, growing, healing. I don't believe necessarily that there's a point at which this stops. I've seen so many people post like, is this the last purge? Does it end now? I'm like, no, honey, this is a lifetime. Like, this is what we do. But God knows, maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe it does stop at some point. But for me, this is just like existence. This is the process of ascension. This is how we get there, and we are human beings. And so there's always another layer to expose, to discover. To me, it's an adventure. It's a discovery. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get some cards just for the energy that is going to be presented to us through this new moon in Gemini on June 4th. What's the energy that's coming in through this new, or with this new moon, I should say? Oops, something tried to come out and then it flipped back. Okay. All right. I'm just feeling, for some reason, it's having me pull from the bottom of the deck. It always depends on where I feel this buzzing energy. It's very strange. If the cards aren't jumping, I prefer that they jump. But if they're not, then... Okay, so the cards that came out are the Seven of Cups with the Chariot first. And then the Ace of Wands came out. And then the Emperor came out. So what I'm immediately feeling here is sort of a continuation of that June reading where we spoke about new beginnings coming through. In a new, I think both, I can't remember if the Ace of Wands came out or it might have been, I don't know, something that made me feel new beginning. It might have, oh, it was the Knight of Wands. So that was the forward movement. But there is that wand energy along with the Chariot, which is almost feels like the Knight of Wands because of the forward movement there, the determination and the motion. The Emperor did come out, and I just feel like there is this decision making, the kind of... Months ago, I talked about sifting the wheat from the chaff, and I'm getting a feeling about that right now. Somebody just walked out the door, so I hope my dogs don't bark at it. Sorry. I have a huge window here. Every time they see something, everything goes to hell. So I feel like I'm also hearing the words eyes on the prize, because if you look at this crow, it's looking at the cup that has the victory laurels in it, and not any of the other cups. And it's almost like they are just really, I said they, I don't know why I said they. So this could be a reading for another person that you have on your mind. If not, it could absolutely be for you or for all of us. But for some reason I said they. So that they or you are really getting focused in on the prize, like getting this thing that you are, both of these would be focused in on this very strong intention. I'm hearing intention for this Ace of Wands. And so this is an intention that you're passionate about. I was speaking with a friend last night in my my jiu-jitsu class that I take here in New York, and it's an old friend from like 20 years ago, and I don't even know how this happened, but like I walked into jiu-jitsu class and there he was, like from 20 freaking years ago. And that actually happened to me with somebody else in Ohio. So that was weird. But long story short, this person is like, Emily, what do you think the chances are that I can make it in my chosen career? And I'm like, absolutely you can. You know, whatever, when you have your eyes on the prize, when your intention and your will are aligned, and these are also aligned with the higher vibrational energies, I call it the divine, you might call it something else, then the chances are whatever you make them, they're whatever you accept them to be. And it's just a process of moving through the spaces that are uncomfortable in order to get to the place where we believe we can really get there. We believe that we're capable, and we believe that we deserve it, and that, you know, this is your mission, this is your life's mission, and every single one of us has one of those, you know. There's no judging between the validity or the importance of one person's mission or another. So my point in telling that is that this feels to me like that kind of energy. If there is something that you are so focused on, and there is a way to focus and also kick yourself off path by being too focused, okay? And that's usually when you are also, when there are bits and pieces of your ego that are trying to push you forward. If you're moving forward from that aligned will and intention, right, aligned with source energy, then you are going to be able to reach your goal, to get to wherever you're supposed to be. Now that goal, you have to have like some sense of flexibility, because that could change over time. You might realize that, oh geez, I was acting out of ego a little bit for a while, and I need to refocus on whatever, you know what I mean? So so you need to always use the phrase, and this comes from one of my spiritual teachers, but always use the phrase, this or something better, or better than I can ask or imagine, because it leaves the door open for the universe to act on your behalf, to bring you into the energies and the situations and circumstances and people and connections and everything else that are aligned with your highest and best good, not just with your ego desire. Does that make sense? And so this is a very aligned, for this card here, the Emperor, I'm hearing that this is a very aligned and powerful position to be in, that it's stepping into your power in a sense. And I know we talk about that a lot, and I just want to reiterate that I feel like this is a lifelong process, the stepping into our power. And that is because, we might take steps toward stepping into our power. We might reach the level that we are supposed to reach at a certain time of stepping into our power, but there's always more. There's always something more, which to me, again, like I've said before, is very exciting, because that means life never becomes stagnant. There's always something more to continue working for. And I feel like it's this very aligned and direct energy that is coming up with this new moon. And that makes sense if we're talking about it taking place in the constellation of Gemini, because that focus, or that energy, is also very direct. Okay, it's very mental, so it's very quick moving, like the Chariot, and it's very, very direct and powerful. Even it does involve the lower mind. I'm hearing the lower mind. And so in that sense, there's sort of a discernment. Okay, I'm now hearing discernment for this card that needs to take place between the higher mind, that Sagittarian energy, with the lower mind, that Gemini energy. Both are important, but any kind of ego involvement, like there's a reason they brought up being willing and flexible to change your goal or your vision if there is a yet higher vision that comes to you. Okay, so you want to be able to both integrate and also navigate between the higher and lower mind. And so this is that discernment of what is desire and what is truly in alignment. Okay. I feel that this is a very powerful time of setting intention and being able to plant. Well, it might even be more like moving forward and taking real action steps on the planted seeds from May. I'm hearing the planted seeds from May. So whatever seeds we sowed in Taurus season, we're like the growth is really taking off. Like we're being able to take some action steps at this point with the Chariot and the Ace of Wands coming up. Let's see what else wants to come out. I want to know, in what way will this be different from the energy that we have been going through? And the Seven of Swords just flung out as I said that. And so what I feel like is that this is less stealthy energy. Like we've been going through some very stealthy energy, which makes sense because it probably was especially stirred up by the full moon in Scorpio, which is all about the subconscious and what lies beneath and the dark side and the shadow. And that doesn't mean you're going to stop working with your shadow. Okay, you're always working with your shadow. But I feel like it's going to be less stealthy. It's going to be more visible, and you're going to be more easily led, if that makes sense. Just thinking of these three cards here, the Emperor, the Chariot, and the Ace of Wands, by your this to me is really feeling like the hairline, that connection up to, that goes all the way up your body, connects all your chakras. It goes up into the ethers and connects you to the divine, and it also goes all the way down and connects you to the center of the earth. And so it's like you are more easily aligned with the will of source, and your own aligning your personal will with the will of source, and connecting above and below. Okay, and so like to me it feels like this is not a stealthy energy. This is a very you can feel this in your body. Okay, so do take note when you feel that feeling of being very much in alignment. That is your positive symbol, your signal to move forward, to go ahead, and that you're doing the right stuff. You're on the right path. It doesn't matter where you are in it. You might not be exactly where you want to be, but it's a step in the right direction, and you have to be willing to accept the process. You have to be in acceptance of the whole process in order to get to any part of the process, right? If you're not in acceptance of parts of the process, then you're going to get stuck, because that creates that blockage energy just by being there, just by being part of your consciousness, if that makes sense. Okay. What else is coming up for us with this new moon in Gemini, please, on June 4th? What else is coming up? All right. So we've got the Tower and we've got the Lovers. Nobody panic. I do feel like there are some rearrangements in energies. This feels like a renewal. It doesn't feel, I mean, it could be destruction in some sense. You know, there may be certain things falling apart and other things coming together. But it does feel like that sense of phoenix rising from the ashes, or some kind of renewal energy surrounding. I'm actually hearing higher mind and lower mind, like the integration of that for the Lovers. It may also be on the level of relationships and romantic partnerships, or business partnerships, or family relationships, or anything where there's some kind of partnership. But I am actually feeling like this is an internal energy. This may be a rebalancing of your internal masculine and feminine. And by rebalancing, I mean, you know, having been through this, I almost feel like this is that shakeup that's been taking place for a lot of people. And that's like all the triggering that's happening. It's creating a newly aligned balance within you. Yeah. So I just split the deck, and we've got the Three of Swords here. So any of this like grief that's been coming up, it's almost like it's creating an open pathway here to new alignment within you, and therefore new alignment with everything externally. Some of the things that you are not aligning to are going to go away, okay? And that too is kind of a tower, you know what I mean? It's the purging of that which is no longer serving you. There's a snake in between these two trees as well, which feels transformative. And so I do feel like, you know, that it just backs up this energy of transformation, of the phoenix, of regeneration. And I do feel so much of what has been purged during this time out of the collective is this sort of grief. A lot of what I've seen coming up has to do with injustice or victimization, fear surrounding those things, frustration and anger surrounding those things. This has come up for tons of people around me, myself included. And so this is a kind of heartbreak. This is a kind of injustice. It's just what I keep hearing. And I've been speaking with this group of cards about a rebalancing. So it's almost like this is the destruction that takes place to break apart the faulty balance, the faulty foundations, and create the new balance, the bringing in of the justice energy. Now, we have not gotten the justice card, but those are the words I'm hearing. I do feel then this continues to keep bringing, and I keep trying to avoid this because I have been avoiding, okay, avoiding is the wrong word, but trying to change my habit of wanting to put labels on different things because, you know, it's hard not to. That's how we use language. That's why we have language. But in some ways, like to label something, you know, twin flames or divine complements or soulmates or any of that kind of stuff, which are somewhat interlocked but not the same, a little different, then you create, then you start to lock up and stagnate the way that energy flows, so that you are then not being open to better than you asked or imagined, or this or something better, right? You are then only open to this thing in the box. And so I know I'm rambling right now, and so just stick with me for a second while I just pull all this through. Anyway, I keep avoiding that, but I do feel that there is something here about divine partnerships. And that is not every single relationship ever. Okay, there is a difference there, not better or worse, just a different purpose. And some people are cycling through other types of partnerships at this time because they're teaching a lesson or providing some kind of balance or energy or whatever. Like everybody's learning something. But I do feel like there is an important breakthrough regarding the way that our energies interact with each other in reflection to the way that the energies interact within ourselves. And this is most potently visible within those divine relationships. Okay, that's where they were going with that. So do expect some kind of movement there, is basically the end of it. I hate to create expectations, so I don't want to take that too much further for the collective, just because everybody's experience is so different. But there should be movement expected there of some sort. All right, so let's move on. Let's get some other, okay. Yeah, here's the movement, the Six of Swords, and it is always for the better, whatever it is. You know, the swords is mental energy, which is appropriate for Gemini. It is also, it can be movement forward from a very difficult situation into something better. It's normally shown as like mother and child and father crossing water into a better place, basically. And what you're leaving. I'm trying to fill into this, but this is the Judgment card. What you're moving out of is this period of sort of reconciling yourself to your situation. So this is that understanding of making decisions. This is that like getting focused on what it is that you really want in your life, what it is that you want to do moving forward, stepping into your mission, or at least at the very least stepping away from what is not serving you at this point. This is a resurrection. Okay? And I think I was just talking about the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's the same type of energy moving into something better, a resurrection. And this process of review, I'm hearing the words review, is incredibly, can be incredibly painful because, you know, we're looking at all of the ways that the swords have been in our heart, all of the shame, guilt, and the pain and the injustice. We're looking at all of that in order to bring light to it, to understand it, to integrate it into our human experience so that we can then rise again as integrated, okay? And that I feel goes along exactly with this Tower with the Lovers card, that shaking up of the foundation so that you can more appropriately integrate that internally into a new balance, a new way of balancing yourself. So this is moving forward, but it might feel slow at first, okay? It might not go as quickly as you want. It is actually moving quicker than you're thinking, because we still started this reading with the Chariot and the Ace of Wands. But it's like you feel this sense of anticipation and you really want to jump forward, but you cannot skip the steps. You've got to allow the integration to occur. You've got to take the time to look, become aware of all of the things that are coming up for you, whatever they might be, okay? Whether it is this sense of injustice or the sense of slavery, I just heard, the sense of like disenfranchisement. I feel like it feels like a kind of slavery or something. Even prostitution, or do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that anybody's literally a prostitute, but like, it's those kinds of energies that I feel are moving around in the collective right now. So we do need to look at those and allow our awareness to come into it, and to be in acceptance of whatever those things are, that we feel them, that they're appropriate, and that it's okay, and that we can release them because they're not playing out in our day-to-day life right now, or that they're not, necessarily real for us, but it is a very real feeling, and that is to be accepted and understood and integrated, okay? Once we do this, we are resetting, okay? We are resetting, and it's appropriate to be setting your intentions for your emotional renewal and this new the seeds to be planted for new things to be blooming in your life. Okay, we've already planted some seeds, but every single new moon is another opportunity to reevaluate what it is you're planting. Okay, you might have a different idea of what it is, or maybe it's the next stage of what you need to be planting. If you are really, looking forward into stepping into a new kind of career that you've not had the opportunity to do yet, but you have always wanted and loved, then it's about time to think about reasonable action steps forward, okay? And those things become possible once you clear the clutter. This is clutter. This is all the ways that you feel incapable or not allowed, or somehow because of class, society, sex, or race, or whatever it is, you feel like you're unable or held back or enslaved or somehow blocked from achieving this. But this is very achievable by taking these steps and going through all these steps, which are happening on, I hope I'm making sense, I'm literally just spitting the words out, which are happening on all levels. So they're happening way up in the 9D, they're happening in the 5D, they're happening in the 4D, they're happening in the 3D. They're even taking root in the 2 and 1D, they're saying. So whatever that means, all this stuff is coming together, and they're just like they're showing me the flower of life, where all the pieces are blooming at once in all their respective areas, and it creates this billion sided, billion dimensional creation, which is your life and this thing that you're attempting to manifest, or these things, because many of us are manifesting more than one thing. Sorry, I just kicked my stand. Watch it fall. Okay. This is really flowing through my heart right now. This is kind of a big deal. It's just been another dismantling of the programs that have been holding us back. Okay? So this is going to be then another cycle of allowing these things to come into fruition and getting clearer and clearer on what that means. I want to get some other cards. I'm going on and I don't even know what I've said. Okay, I'm going to get some other cards. A few oracle cards to help clarify the things we've talked about. Clarify, please. It's just something really transitional that I feel going on. Okay, release is still coming up. Still stuff to be released. Keep doing that. Which makes sense. We still have this tower here, which is a huge release. Change. Freedom. Total sense. Okay, so we've been talking about the changes that come through release, but also what comes through release is this freedom. I'm talking about the idea of being blocked or locked in or enslaved somehow, or like stuck in this injustice. Okay, and this is the freedom that comes in when we accept the change, when we release the energy and the programs that we're holding on to. This is a process that of breaking down and releasing, and then taking the new layer, letting it kind of fall into place, and then breaking it down again. That's why this keeps happening in cycles. We talk about that a lot, that it's cycle after cycle, or cycles within cycles, and this just keeps on going. Now, the more you release, the less scary this is every time. When you're just beginning, you get the dark night of the soul, right? Which is like super scary and super dark. But the longer this goes on and the more you're releasing, the more empowered you become. And I just noticed this card was flipped right side up inside the deck, and I hadn't noticed before, and it's the card for power. And that is appropriate because we've also pulled earlier in this reading the Emperor, which to me is a kind of power. Okay, it's the masculine power. And I feel that that there is, and that maybe that, you know, this starts to come up more and more in our society, is this like review of power and what that really means. I feel that there have been a lot of people taking back their own personal power recently. A lot of things have come up where people are invading others' personal power. These people don't realize they're doing it, but it's because their perception is so limited, they don't understand where they're crossing the line. And so that there's an understanding that takes place, but for the people whose lines are crossed, there's also a release that takes place, because they're also running old hurts programs. And so this freedom is created for that person because they're being asked to confront these things that are coming up, these ideas of feeling enslaved somehow, or feeling taken advantage of, or feeling this sense of injustice, wherever that came out, somewhere in this reading, I don't even know anymore. So if that continues to come up, you know, there's all this talk about empowerment and sovereignty in all the readings in the last couple weeks. So I feel that that is continuing to move forward and to continue to be something that we are healing. It's just going to be less underneath, less obscured like it has been. maybe less so in the subconscious and more so in the conscious mind, okay? Probably taking place primarily in the ego, the low, in the Gemini portion of the brain, the lower mind, the lower conscious mind. So that makes some sense. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this up with a card from the Lightworker Oracle, because I just got this the other day and it's pretty cool. So let's get a card, please, from the Lightworker Oracle to just cap this reading off for the new moon in Gemini. I don't know why, but I suddenly got this fear that like everything I'm saying is in total contradiction to stuff everybody else is saying or something. I never have that fear. Like, I literally don't care. I just know that if people are resonating with my readings, that's great. I don't know why that fear came up, and maybe that's a piece of my enslavement, my need, or my some latent need to be accepted or something like that, or need validation. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, card please to close this reading on the new moon in Gemini for June 4th of 2019. Alchemical mutation, which makes sense. I've been talking about this changing of the balance and this where to go. My Lover's card, you saw the Lover's card, I don't need to show you again. But this transformation of the balance, okay? So alchemical mutation, number 31. In case that's significant. Your spiritual growth is changing your mind, body, and soul. It is very real. It's helping you fulfill all aspects of your divine destiny. It's what we've been talking about. It's awakening spiritual talents and attracting in new energies. This process will bring tremendous joy and satisfaction. The body changes as light enters. Alchemy is catalyzed and transformation happens. Sometimes the appearance of the body changes. There will be change in how the body feels, responds, acts, and creates. Radiance increases. Lightness of being increases. If you have clairvoyant vision, you will see the increase in light as though the person is actually lit up from within. They are. Spiritual abilities become grounded in the body, and the person can channel healing energy just as naturally as they would set the dinner table. The spirit becomes a living reality in the body, and the material world is experienced as an extension of the divine light. This is about becoming in alignment and your will aligned with source will. This alchemy is an empowering gift of love. Symptoms of this process can at times be challenging. They may include headaches and other aches and pains, flu-like symptoms, and inexplicable, nearly overwhelming fatigue that lasts for days, and then suddenly vanishes along with a surge of new energy. We may also experience pinging in the ears, an increased sensitivity to light or sound, hormonal imbalance and hot flushes, excessive sexual energy, mental obsessions or mood swings, aggression, and unintentional harsh reactions to people. If you have been experiencing any of the above and wondered if these or other unusual symptoms could be a direct result of increased spiritual energy affecting the body, then the answer is that this is very likely. You are encouraged to source whatever professional health support you need to take care of your body. Also consider using the following simple practices to ease away the side effects of divine alchemy taking place within you. This simple practice includes getting regular rest. Additional sleep is a powerful way for the body and mind to heal and repair, integrate, and reorganize. Allow time for physical exercise, which can help release excess energy, especially if you tend to feel mentally congested. Take time away from meditation, spiritual studies, or discussions and energy work. Instead, simply be in nature or rest. If you work with colors, then take a break for a short time, only working with very soft, subdued white colors or light. If you have a tendency to push yourself with spiritual work, learning to take time off on regular occasions will help you recover more quickly and suffer less. Finally, working with cooling energy, not cold, but refreshing as a way to discharge excess heat, can be extremely beneficial to body and mind. You can do this by sitting in the shade or a room that feels cool and relaxing, or even by cooling your hands before an air conditioner or fan, and then using your fingertips to transfer cool and healing energy by lightly touching your chest, back of your neck, and back of your head, ears, or forehead. So that makes a lot of sense considering the tower energy that came up, the talk about integrating and merging these different energies within you. This is all that idea of breaking away the old, removing the programming, and then allowing the new layer to kind of reorganize, and then breaking that layer away to get to the next layer. So we're continuing in that energy in a more conscious fashion with this new moon. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. My website again is IamEmilyGear.com, and feel free to reach out to me there or schedule online. I do just take appointments made on my online calendar. Please do make the arrangements there, and then I will reach out to you individually. Okay, I thank you so much, and hope you're doing well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.